I'm done, we'll go to Q&A. I apologize for going over here. I've not given this lecture before ever. So one last screen, okay. Now I've got 5 theological themes, and it does not matter which creation view you hold of the 6 that I've got in this presentation to assert all 5 of these statements. You can assert any one of these creation views and still assert all 5 of these statements. It is really quite amazing how little a creation view impacts final theology. That's good. I like that. So people of various creation views can affirm these ideas. For instance, what's rule number 1 in real estate? What is it? Location, location, location. You can't change a property's location, can you? Okay. The location of Genesis 1 at the beginning of the Bible, the beginning of the Pentateuch, the beginning of the book of Genesis, the book of Origins. Here it is, the beginning of all divine revelation in our written form. The location of Genesis 1 makes this text foundational to a Christian understanding of the world. God, the great creator, omnipotent, all good, all benevolent, all powerful. So here is the world then as the servant of God, man placed as God's servant over the creation. All that is very, very important. Genesis 1 tells us a lot, and you can take any number of creation views and still say that. Second, theocentric focus, anthropocentric action. What's that mean? Well, theocentric means what? God-centered. Anthropocentric means what? Man-centered. Okay. Now, the only actor, the subject of nearly all the verbs in this chapter is who? God. Okay, theocentric focus. God is the actor. But wait a minute. What is the center of God's concern? We begin with the world formless, empty, dark, and deep. Does the world remain that way? At the end of the 6th day, we have a wonderfully abundant world where human life can flourish. The text is about the flourishing of human life. Any one of these creation views can assert that. And so God's interest in the text is a wonderful world where humans can thrive. God adores human thriving, human flourishing. You can say that with any one of these creation views. So theocentric focus, but anthropocentric action. The center of God's action is us. That's true with the cross too, isn't it? Third, God is a royal figure. Who in the ancient Near East speaks and had it happen? Kings, right? Your word is my command, right? Yeah. God speaks, it happens in this text. God is presented like a king in this text, with wisdom, with power, with fidelity. You can say that holding any one of these creation views, can't you? These are all very important things to say for Christians. Fourth, 10 commands. That number is a fact. No debate about that number. The 10 means fullness. And so God has framed the world with fullness. We should be very grateful to God for the abundance of the world. Right now we're having a certain superabundance flowing from the Gulf of Mexico. We wish that were not quite the case. But no, the world is made with abundance. Some scholars assume scarcity. Christians ought to assume abundance. The good gifts of God are not depleted. Last, Eden. We sometimes think of Eden as perfect. I'm not sure that's the right word. Eden was innocent. That might be a better word. But Eden had to be tested. Our first parents were tested by a command. If they had passed the test, I believe they would have been promoted to a greater degree of glory. They would have become mature through testing. As it is, they failed the test, were expelled from the garden, and are brought into maturity by testing. We are still tested, aren't we? There will become a time when all testing is done. Revelation 21 and 22 describes that time. It is not, strictly speaking, a return to Eden. Some of the features of Eden are there. The tree of life, the river of the waters of life. That's Revelation 21 and 22. But wait, the governing motif there is the city, the New Jerusalem. Eden was innocent but untested. What happens in the New Jerusalem? Innocence returns, but with wisdom, with experience, having been tested and emerged faithful. We're not going back to Eden, we're going forward to the New Jerusalem. And so when we have the Sabbath statement at the end of our text, the seventh day of our text, the text is telling us that the creation is not finished in a certain way. Not finished, that is, not until we find our rest in God. How does St. Augustine put it back in 400 AD? You have made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they rest in thee. What's the seventh day about? Humanity rested in God. Creation is not finished until humanity rests in God. And that's what Christian salvation is about, isn't it? That we should find our rest in God. Jesus repeats that Sabbath theme when he says, "Come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you," what's the next word?
Rest.
Rest. Okay, I've got 10 minutes of Q&A. I apologize for going a little longer. It seemed necessary. So what would you like to ask about?